Welcome to Makery Pokery. Today we are making a needlessly fancy track case for my Festool track saw. This is my Festool track saw. I love this thing. It makes great cuts. The thing about track saws though is that they are only as good as their tracks. If you damage the tracks past a certain point, you might as well just use a regular old circular saw. So it pays to take care of them, especially if you work in a shared workshop like I do, which is why I decided to make a case. The plan was pretty simple. Make a closed box out of plywood, using rabbets to help line things up and keep them together, then cut the lid off, and glue in some supports to make stacking the tracks easy. First I cut the sides and the top to the correct width on the table saw. But the length was too long to easily use a sled, so I used a miter saw. To determine where to set my stop, I clamped a sacrificial piece to the saw and made a cut. Then I measured from the cut edge and used that to set my stop. Now that I had all the pieces cut, it was time to do my rabbets. A habit I've gotten into over time is to mark the edges I plan to rabbet so I don't accidentally do the wrong side. I think part of learning how to do anything is figuring out what kind of mistakes you're likely to make and then taking steps so you don't keep making them. This is one of those things for me. Because this box is very long, I've specifically designed it so I don't have to rabbet the narrow ends of these very long pieces. In terms of clamping, this box presents a unique challenge because of how long and narrow it is. I spent some time dry fitting it so I could figure out how I was going to hold it all together before I started the glue up. Now I mark where I'm planning to cut it in half. Note that I put an arrow to remind myself which side to cut on. This is very useful. It's shockingly easy to cut open the wrong side when you use this technique for box making. Then I cut it. I started with the long edges, then taped in shims to keep it from binding and did the short sides. This was nerve-wracking, but pretty fun. I used a tenoning sled to keep the box supported. It would have been colossally stupid to try this without some form of jig. After that, I peeled the tape off and opened it up. Quick scrape on the inside for some glue squeeze out, and then I had to pull out the nails that missed. For this project, I used these invisible hinges just for fun, but honestly, I wish I had used a piano hinge. These things are very fiddly. I sanded the box inside and out and then slapped a coat of primer on it. After that dried, I gave the whole box a quick once-over with 220, just enough to knock off any fuzz. I've not sped this up, so you can see how quickly I do it. It really doesn't take much. To install the hinges, I drilled down as far as the instructions said I should. After that, I had to try to chisel out the scallops left by the drill. I clamped a piece of wood to support the extremely thin ply when I was chiseling, but it broke anyway. In hindsight, I really should have used a router to make these holes. I installed the hinges regardless, and they fit nicely, despite the broken plywood, and the box closes well, so that's something. With this type of hinge, the screws that are in it are what's holding it in, and those go down, so I could actually just leave it as it is. It won't be affected by the broken out plywood on the sides. But it will annoy me if I don't fix it, and it's a simple fix. I made some strips to fit in there, and I'm using hot glue here, since part of the joint already has primer on it. Then I'll add some screws just to make sure things stay nice and tight. Next, I glue in the little risers so I can stack the tracks inside without having them bang around on top of each other. I put in the smallest track, then figure out where the riser has to go so I'll have some finger room, mark it and glue it. I also put one at the end of the track to prevent it rocking up and down. Now a quick coat of the old Festool gray just for fun, and we're nearly done. The The final touch was to install the catches. I'm using rivets to hold it in. They look nice and are easy to use, especially in a situation where you have a very tight spring that wants to close. You can see I stuck one in there just to hold the dumb thing open and then popped in the other one. And that's it. As you can see, the tracks fit nicely and are held in place by these Velcro straps that I hot glued in. I find the straps a little annoying, but they work fine. I made the lid deep enough to hold another track should I ever get one. If I start traveling around much with the saw, I'll put a handle on the case, but for now it's not really necessary. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Lots more videos are coming.